Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Reintroduction to the AbilityOne program, a bold new vision. My name is Melissa Gary, and I am the GSA AbilityOne Program Executive / ABOR. I am a fair-skinned African-American woman with brown curly hair and eyeglasses. Today, I'm wearing a blazer, a white shirt, and a small black bow tie. Let me begin by thanking all of the presenters and the speakers who joined us today, as well as those who work behind the scenes to make this event possible. Thank you. Thank you all for giving of your time and answering the call to mission. I am so excited to be a part of this training that I know will be of great benefit to you and ultimately the millions of Americans who are living with a disability and are struggling to find a place of equality and inclusion in a society where they're so often overlooked. Before I jump into the session overview, I'd like to introduce you to the GSA ABOR team. First, we have Amanda Werb. Amanda represents the Federal Acquisition Service. She is an operations research analyst in the FAST Office of Policy and Compliance. In this role, Amanda monitors various compliance initiatives, evaluates the effectiveness of FAST acquisition activities, and engages with stakeholders to develop tools and additional insights into OPC initiatives.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Werb. As Melissa said, I am a white woman with blonde hair, and I'm wearing a tan and black striped shirt. And thank you all for coming today. Back to you.
Thank you, Amanda. Next, we have Andrew Tooley. Andrew is representing the Public Building Service. He is a procurement analyst in PBS's Office of Acquisition Management, Policy and Programs Division. Andrew is responsible for ensuring that projects and programs meet established objectives and that the best practices are shared across the PBS acquisition community. Andrew.
Thanks, Melissa, and good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Tooley. I'm the AbilityOne representative for PBS. I'm a white male with dark brown hair wearing a navy blue suit. I'm very much looking forward to hearing from today's presenters. Back to you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rachel Barsanik. Rachel has been an integrity officer in the Pension and Department Division for 3 years. Her focus is on procurement integrity, supply chain risk management, and increasing high-level employment for people with disability. Rachel holds an undergrad degree from Allegheny College in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and a Juris Doctorate degree from the Catholic University of America, Columbus School of Law. Rachel serves on the team as an advisor. Rachel.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Varsanik. I am a white woman with light blonde hair and blue eyes, and I use a wheelchair as well. Again, I'm excited for everyone to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. Last but certainly not least is John Bagwell. John has been with GSA for 11 years. He came in to the intern program through a partnership with the Office of Disability Services at Georgia State University. In addition to John's degree, he took courses in the entrepreneurship program that taught him how to run a successful business. John is a program manager with PBS's Region 4, and he's also an advisor to the ABOR team. John.
Thanks, Melissa. My name is John. I am a white male, brown, short hair, and I play wheelchair tennis here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you, John. We also have working behind the scenes today, Suzanne Winard and Henry Swan. Thank you, Team GSA. Now I'm going to jump into the session overview quickly, and don't want to be remiss, but in case you were not informed, this session is being recorded. Okay, so today we will talk about, we will have a personal impact moment, and you'll get to see what that's about shortly. We will talk about the AbilityOne program structure and relevant authorities, as well as the program direction, which is more solution-oriented, current and planned program offerings, AbilityOne and small business partnerships, as well as the AbilityOne distribution channels. A few housekeeping tips. Please use the Q&A feature for any questions. Although we've allowed some time toward the end of the session for Q&A, but please, as questions come to mind, feel free to place them in the Q&A box. We will be monitoring that box throughout the session. Okay, so now to officially kick off our training session, it is an honor for me to introduce to some and present to others one of our very own, Kale. Katie is the Deputy Administrator of the General Services Administration under the Biden-Harris administration. In this capacity, she leads a staff of more than 11,000 GSA employees nationwide, overseeing more than 370 million square feet of property, approximately $75 billion in annual contracts, 4.9 million government credit and purchase cards, and more than 225 leased vehicles within GSA's fleet. Now, prior to serving as the Deputy Administrator, Katie filled the role of Acting Administrator of GSA. Katie is a public servant at heart and has held several senior leadership positions under the Obama administration. She's also worked in the U.S. Senate on operational and legislative issues. Katie is a graduate of George Mason University. Go Patriots, my alma mater. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I did not know that you were a fellow patriot. I like you even more. So hello, everyone. I am Katie Kale. I am a white woman with light brown hair, and today I'm wearing glasses, as well as a black and white checkered dress. I'm sitting in front of a bookshelf, which has a few books, but many plants. As Melissa said, I serve as Deputy Administrator for GSA, but I'm also on the U.S. Access Board, which promotes equality for people with disabilities through accessible design criteria for the built environment, IT, transit, and so much more. I am so excited to be here in support of the AbilityOne program and its new vision. It's so very important for our acquisition workforce. So, as you probably know, the President issued a proclamation declaring October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. At GSA, we have celebrated that in a few different ways. First, we had an exciting announcement, the launch of our new special emphasis program for GSA employees with disabilities. This is important, especially to me, because there are over 1,500 employees with disabilities working at GSA. And we want to make sure that people with disabilities feel a deep sense of belonging and that they have a voice and that everyone is fully empowered to fulfill GSA's mission. Also this month, we co-hosted our annual Interagency Accessibility Forum, which I helped to kick off. This forum this year talked about how accessibility is the foundation for DEIA efforts. It's a theme that really resonated with attendees from across the government. And today, of course, we're talking about one of the most important partners in ensuring that government has a chance to benefit from the array of great products and services that people with disabilities offer. AbilityOne employs more than 40,000 people who are blind or have significant disabilities, including over 3,000 veterans, making it one of the largest providers of jobs for people with disabilities. In total, the federal government buys nearly $4 billion in products and services through AbilityOne. And we're not satisfied with that. We want to build on that, empowering more Americans with disabilities to be connected to good paying jobs, to develop a strong sense of engagement and belonging to their communities. I am glad to see that the AbilityOne Commission has recently introduced a proposed new rule that could eliminate the sub-minimum wage for people with disabilities working on federal contracts and subcontracts. So during this meeting today, AbilityOne will be telling us about the renewed effort and their new programming offerings. Before I go, I want to thank Melissa, Jeff, and others who internally are making and working to take action plans and increase our pledge for AbilityOne in this new federal year. I also understand that we are developing a cohort of AbilityOne champions, and I want to thank all of you who are stepping up. President Biden, Administrator Carnahan, and I are aligned in that we continue to support the federal employees with disabilities, as well as millions of Americans with disabilities who we partner with and serve every day. So while I've enjoyed talking to you, I know it's important that we hear from someone whose life has been directly affected by the opportunities that AbilityOne offers. So with that in mind, I am happy to turn the virtual floor back over to our AbilityOne representative, Melissa, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Katie, and for your work and your dedication to this extremely critical effort. Next on the agenda is our personal impact moment. Our guest today is Ms. Lillian Estes. Lil has been employed with the Professional Contract Services, Inc., or PCSI, in Fort Hood, Texas for the past 17 years as a quality control manager in food services. Lil is grateful for the opportunity that the AbilityOne program, Source America, and PCSI have extended to her over the years and for giving her hope and purpose for a real and meaningful future. Thank you. Take it away, Lil.
Good morning. My name is Lillian Estes, but you can call me Lil. Everybody does. I've had a lot of things on my plate in my life, but fighting end-stage renal disease has been one of my greatest battles. My story has taken me around the world and back again. I came into this world as an Army dependent, or Army brat as they called us, and became an Army enlisted NCO and now a proud Army veteran. I floated in the oceans of Hawaii, visited Berlin before the wall came down, participated in way too many Oktoberfest in Germany, skied the slopes of Switzerland, and obtained frequent visitor status in Paris. I waved to the royals at Buckingham Palace and returned to my place of birth, Landstuhl, Germany, and finally here to Fort Hood, Texas. I rappelled off of 50-foot towers and out of helicopters. I made history at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when for the first time at the Primary Leadership Academy, or the NCO Academy, they call it, women were the number 1 and 2 graduates. I really thought I had experienced everything that this life had brought me and that I was ready for anything that it was going to bring me, until I ran into end-stage renal disease. End-stage renal disease, it kind of has a way of sneaking up on you. It took a while, always looming on the horizon, until the moment my doctor tells me it's time for you to go on dialysis. Dialysis soon came, and my entire world changed. 3 days a week, 4-hour sessions, anxiety, fatigue, illness, the unknown, and hospitalizations. I had heard of dialysis, but truly, I knew nothing about it. I became a Google expert on dialysis, and I constantly bugged my doctor about anything and everything that concerned dialysis. I was newly divorced when my kidneys failed, and I had 2 teenage sons I had to provide for. My youngest, at the age of 15, was already standing 6 feet 7 inches, and that required many, many groceries. I continued to work full time, yet the uncertainty and fear about how I could possibly maintain my job and ultimately my position is set in. I realized that I was completely and totally disabled, but I was not unable or unwilling. My life seemed to be in turmoil. How would dialysis affect my physical being, my life? Would I be able to keep working? How can I provide and take care of my family? Panic and anxiety set in, and I had to put my faith in hyperdrive. Down the road, I had been blessed to receive a kidney transplant, and the joy was unspeakable. Wow. But it was not to be. It rejected almost taking my life and placing me back on dialysis. In the midst of all my test trials and tribulation, I held on to my saving grace, my faith. Thank you, Lord. And then the light bulb went off. I remember something that I had previously learned. Source America and AbilityOne Corporation, that was my corporation. I knew that they worked to increase employment choices for a dedicated and talented workforce for people with disabilities. They were fantastic advocates for people with disabilities, and now that was me. I knew I was a dedicated and productive employee and always had been. I wanted and needed to continue to work and succeed in my corporation, and I did. You know, people sometimes they'll say how people with disabilities can't perform fully or that they provide a limited contribution to the workforce. But here's the fact. The harshness and disparities of a disability have fortified us, and we're prepared to adapt and succeed. Some employees assume that we are more of a liability than an asset, but they are wrong. We learn, we adapt, we contribute, we lead, and we excel. We're an asset to any organization. I am so thankful and grateful that Source America opened an avenue that allowed me to thrive and flourish. I felt supported and encouraged, and I have returned that by working loyally and faithfully. I was consistently promoted on my job, and I now lead a team of inspectors that inspect our servicing provided here in Fort Hood, Texas. I know I have contributed to the success of my corporation. Source America is the leading creator of job opportunities for people with disabilities, and I am a living testimony. To anybody with a disability and the disparities of this life, I offer this. Keep your head up. Keep fighting and pushing forward. Keep shining and prosper. I would like to thank you for my time today. It has been a pleasure and a great honor just to share my journey with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Lil, for that
Thank you.
very touching and inspirational story. I thank you for your service, for your courage and willingness to share your journey with us. And what a journey. You are a true inspiration to so many. Thank you, 1,000 times over.
Thank you. And thanks, Source America and AbilityOne. Ooh.
Okay, whew. Well, next on the agenda to provide our first welcome, and again, it is my pleasure to introduce another one of our own, Crystal Brumfield. Crystal is an attorney and accomplished executive with more than 10 years experience of proven leadership in both the public and private sectors. Some of her professional experience includes Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the DC Chamber of Commerce and Tax and Procurement Counsel for the U.S. Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. Crystal currently serves as the Associate Administrator for the Office of Government-Wide Policy and the Chief Acquisition Officer at GSA. Over to you, Crystal.
Thank you, Melissa.
Mhm.
Thank you, Andrew and Amanda and the entire AbilityOne program representative team for hosting today's training. I want to welcome the GSA Acquisition Workforce. We have a great lineup for you today, and we're excited to jump into the session. But first, I want to say that I'm very grateful to be hearing from our colleagues from the AbilityOne Commission, as well as Source America and the National Industries for the Blind. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning. My name is Crystal Brumfield. I'm an African-American female with brown hair, dark brown eyes, and a dimple on my left cheek. Today, I'm wearing a black shirt and a pearl necklace. As Melissa mentioned, I served as the Associate Administrator for the Office of Government-Wide Policy, but it's also my esteemed pleasure to chair GSA's first ever equity team, working on transforming equity in all of federal procurement and workplace culture. Here at GSA, we're fully committed to supporting the administration's efforts towards focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, also known as DIA. DIA is a whole of government approach that addresses systematic barriers, reduces and resolve disparities, enhances opportunities, increase economic security, and also improve the overall well-being outcomes for all people. GSA's overarching goal for this task is to build these principles into all of the work we do, not make it secondhand, but make it an intentional part of the fabric of the work here at the agency. And so when we build buildings, when we sell real estate, when we procure acquisitions and deploy technology, we need to keep DIA at the center of our priorities. For far too long, certain groups have been overlooked and in some cases underappreciated, resulting in staggering numbers of people who are underemployed or unemployed. According to the Department of Labor, in fact, in 2020, there are 30 million Americans 16 and under living with a disability. And oftentimes with the assistance of an adaptive technology, many workers with disabilities are capable of performing at the level of those without disabilities. Yet in 2020, the unemployment rate among disabled people was at 9%. I'm going to say that again. In 2020, the unemployment rate among disabled people was at 9%. This is more than twice the number of those without disabilities. This number includes service disabled veterans. So disabilities can be visible and, as we know, invisible or not obvious, but it's imperative that we not exclude any individual group from reaching their full potential on the job or in life. And so GSA is committed to embedding DIA in our business practices. As described in our 200-day equity report, we're focusing on 6 initiatives that will ensure fair opportunity and access for underserved communities, including people with disabilities. We're enhancing our partnership and are extremely surprised and supportive of the AbilityOne program, excited and supportive of the AbilityOne program. We've appointed program champions as a result of that. We've also committed to increasing our pledge for the program, and we're training our workforce in the event like this, that one of important impact, we use this program to its full potential. So I want to thank you, Lil, for sharing your personal story, a story of triumph, a story of perseverance, and also one of excellence, one of contributing to America and to your colleagues and to your country. And so thank you, Lil. You've reminded us why we do the work that we do. Sometimes we get caught up in setting numerical goals or when meeting initiatives and milestones and achieving pledge percentages, but these are all important. However, maybe we forget the positive and potentially the life-changing impacts that we have on people's lives and their livelihood. And I want to mention, as I wrap up, just one individual who's made an impact, I would say, not only on my life, but on the life of so many. and he is our GSA's AbilityOne commissioner, and that's Jeff Costas. So if you all would just stop for a moment and join me in wishing Jeff a very happy birthday today. And thank you, Jeff, for all of the hard work and the tremendous amount of time and dedication that you have to GSA and the AbilityOne program. Thank you so much, Jeff. We really appreciate you. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Melissa. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Crystal, again, for taking the time out of your busy schedule, both you and Katie, to join us today. And thank you for the words of encouragement and inspiration. So next, we will hear from someone who really needs no introduction. We all know him and hold the highest regard for his knowledge, his vision, and his leadership, Mr. Jeff Costas. Jeff has spent his entire career, federal career at GSA, where he has held several top leadership positions. For the last 7 years, Jeff has served as GSA's Senior Procurement Executive and Deputy Chief Acquisition Officer. In 2020, Jeff was elected Chairman of the U.S. AbilityOne Commission by his peers, a position that he still currently holds. So without further ado, I present to you Jeff Costas. Take it away.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Crystal. You know, I'm so inspired every time I hear Lil speak. She's amazing, she's powerful, and I'm so glad that you all got the chance to hear from her today. I'd like to thank all the GSA employees who took the time to join us for this conversation. So you can tell I'm a white male with rapidly graying hair. And as you heard, in addition to being GSA's Senior Procurement Executive, I'm GSA's representative to the AbilityOne Commission. And it was in that role that I have the wonderful honor of currently chairing the commission. On his first day in office, President Biden signed Executive Order 13985. This was the executive order on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities. The disability community is called out as one of the underserved communities, and it's a key focus area for federal acquisition. That executive order, it spawned a whole litany of actions, including creation of an interagency policy committee. That committee has been meeting regularly. Crystal, Katie, and I, and many other GSA employees have been very actively involved. Through that, we learned that persons with significant disabilities have the lowest employment level of any segment of American society across all age groups and across all levels of education. So with that knowledge, you won't be surprised to hear the Interagency Policy Committee has paid attention to increasing contracting opportunities for persons with disabilities. All three agencies on the FAR Council, GSA, DoD, NASA, pledged to increase their use of the AbilityOne program. At this moment, I want to emphasize AbilityOne is not a charity. It's not a make-work program. It provides products and services needed by federal agencies at fair and reasonable prices. GSA is a top civilian partner for AbilityOne, and we've long worked closely with the two central nonprofits that you'll meet today, NIB and Source America. We were one of the first agencies to designate AbilityOne champions. You met them at the top of the session. Now, that's Lisa, that's Amanda, that's Andrew, and that's the rest of the A-Board team. Last year, GSA pledged 2% of our contract spend to the AbilityOne program. And I'm so thrilled to let you know we exceeded that goal. But for all members of the acquisition workforce, hold that thought a second, because I want to take a moment to applaud the entire acquisition workforce. We not only exceeded our AbilityOne pledge, but we exceeded our small business and socioeconomic goals, and we exceeded our competition goal. That's an incredible trifecta. This year, we're looking to do it again, and to once more nail that trifecta. We increased our AbilityOne pledge to 2.5% of our contract dollars, and I'm confident that you'll deliver on that. One part of that success is by having you work through Melissa, through Amanda, through Andrew, to identify potential new opportunities to contract through the AbilityOne program. I have no doubt some of you are quite familiar with AbilityOne, while for others, it's a fairly new topic. For those of you new to the topic, I hope you leave today understanding more about how the program works and how to use it effectively. For those who are familiar with AbilityOne, I hope you leave with an awareness of how the program is modernizing and changing and introducing new levels of support. For all of you, I think you'll be inspired and impressed. The program created over 42,000 jobs to the blind and significantly disabled last year, and it played an enormous role in our nation's response to the pandemic. Its nonprofit agencies supplied personal protective equipment, hand sanitizer, and cleaning services, including deep cleaning and sanitizing. They maintained critical uninterruptible services such as dining facilities and switchboard operations at military bases and VA medical facilities. They kept the base supply stores open and supported any number of federal agencies, and most definitely supported GSA. Through this last 19 months, the nonprofits have shown themselves time and time again to be America's essential workers. They've been there when we needed them to help carry out GSA's mission to support the other federal agencies. And we're looking to show our ongoing support and commitment to the program. For now, let me turn things back over to Melissa.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Jeff will return later in the session. So next up, drum roll, please. Our first session presenter is Stephanie Watson with the U.S. AbilityOne Commission. Stephanie has served as the Deputy Director of the Program Management Office within the AbilityOne Commission since October 2017. She is currently the Acting Director of the office. For the last year, Stephanie has managed the new ABOR, or AbilityOne Representative Program, and has worked closely with the 24 CFO Act agencies to build and implement the program from the ground up. Stephanie has a Bachelor of Science in Business Management, from George Mason University, yay, Patriots again, and a Master of Business Administration from the University of Maryland, University College. Stephanie, take it away.
Good morning, Melissa. Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the AbilityOne program. So if you'll go to the next slide, please, I'll get started with our program mission. So as you can see here, we provide employment opportunities for people who are blind or have significant disabilities in the manufacturing and delivery of product and services to the federal government. So what does that mean exactly? That means that we work with this underserved population, and our constituents are the base of everything we've been talking about so far. And we employ those people through nonprofit agencies to work on federal contracts. And I'll get into the meat of that in just a little bit. So a fun fact, we employ more than 42,000 people who are blind or have significant disabilities, and that includes about 3,200 veterans. And we're looking to grow that as well. Next slide, please. So here's our organizational chart. As you can see, we are directly under the President of the United States, and we are a very small federal agency. We have about 40 full-time staff members, and then we have 15 presidential appointees, and they're known as the Commission. And these appointees come from various federal agencies, as well as 4 private citizens, 2 representing the blind community and 2 representing the people with disabilities community. And then we have a chairperson, Mr. Costas, which, by the way, sir, happy birthday. And we have the Inspector General as well, which was stood up about 4 years ago. And then we report to Congress, and we do that on a regular basis. As you can see below the commission, we have 2 central nonprofit agencies, fondly known as CNAs, and that is National Industries for the Blind, or NIB, and Source America, which some of you may remember was called NISH a long time ago. And then under them, they have nonprofit agencies. NIB has about 100 and Source America has about 500. And those nonprofit agencies target certain groups in our community. So National Industries for the Blind, NPAs, target people who are blind. And the same goes for Source America. They target people who have significant disabilities. And then you'll see at the bottom, federal customers. And that really is the framework of our program. With the federal customers that create the work, create the contracts, that's how the program grows. So I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you all about that so we can figure out new ways to work together. Next slide, please. So here I will go very briefly over the program authorities. We have quite a few of them, and if anyone is familiar with these authorities, these acts, these FAR regulations, there's a lot of legalese in there, so I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. So the Javits-Wagner-O'Day Act, JWAD, it established the program. Back in the 30s, it was just the Wagner-O'Day Act, and then in the 70s, it became the Javits-Wagner-O'Day Act. And that designated the committee as an independent federal agency, which is the structure we're at now. 41 CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 51, it implements the AbilityOne program and gives more specificity to the requirements of it. FAR 8.002, that's priorities for use of mandatory government sources. So for example, the AbilityOne program is mandatory for services, and in products, it's fourth. So first you would look at the inventories of your current agency, then you would look outside of your agency at other federal agencies, then you would go to federal prison industries, and then you would come to the AbilityOne program, and that's for products. FAR subpart 8.7, that's basically saying you have to acquire things from nonprofit agencies, that's us, the AbilityOne program, employing people who are blind or severely disabled. And then just last year, the OFPP, Office of Federal Procurement and Policy, issued a memo in October of 2020. And the title of this memo is Increasing the Participation of Americans with Disabilities in Federal Contracting. And that laid out the structure for development of this ABOR program and other capabilities, for example, hiring at home for the government, developing a team to figure out how to work more with the AbilityOne program, increase the sales, increase the contracts, and become more innovative in how we approach these things. So you can always find more details online. I'm happy to answer more detailed questions. Later on in the brief, you can email me, but that's an overview of our authorities. Next slide, please. So using AbilityOne to meet your mission needs. So I just wanted to give a few examples of how we meet mission needs for federal agencies across the board. So you can see here we supplied $3.9 billion in products and services to the federal government just in FY 2020. We have multiple avenues in procuring products. GSA Advantage is one of those avenues. AbilityOne.com is another. Secure mailroom of choice for Homeland Security. That's a huge contract for us, and we've been doing that for a while. We also have a nonprofit agency up in Washington State that produces machine parts for Boeing, and they've been doing it for decades now. So you can see that the kind of level of service that we provide, the products we provide, they meet those high quality standards. AbilityOne, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we have had a tremendous response. We've been sanitizing the Pentagon and other federal buildings, and that's just not the normal cleaning, right? The sanitizing for COVID was, I mean, head to toe, ceiling to floor, doorknobs, everything was sanitized and cleaned, and our folks worked around the clock to do that. We produced 1.5 billion protective gloves, and then one of my favorites is when the USNS Comfort came into New York, our staff, our AbilityOne employees stocked the meals for that 1,000+ crew members to last several weeks. So this is just a few of the things that we do for the agencies around the US. And there is a hyperlink. So if these slides are provided later, you can click that and see the full list of NAICS and PSCs that we provide for products and services. And again, any questions I'm happy to answer. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is my last slide. And as Mr. Costas pointed out, GSA has exceeded everything, all its AbilityOne goals and then some. So you'll see that $6 billion is what GSA has spent to date. And this is as of 14 October of this year. And they pledged 2% to spend in the AbilityOne program, which is $122 million. And they actually spent $354 million. So that's a 5.78% goal, if you will, exceeding their 2%. So we just want to applaud GSA for the excellent work they're doing, the new ways that they're finding to work with the program, and the fact that they are so dedicated in helping our constituents. And that's all I have. Melissa, back to you. Thank you. Oh, Melissa, I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Stephanie. That is fantastic. Next, we will hear from Kim Zike. Kim is the Acting Executive Director of the U.S. AbilityOne Commission. She has served in progressively responsible positions on the commission staff for more than 25 years. Over the years, Kim has worked with many GSA colleagues from both the Federal Acquisition Service and the Public Building Services Service side of the house. Kim holds a master's degree in National Resource Strategy from the Dwight D. Eisenhower School at the National Defense University and an MBA from the University of Maryland Global Campus. Kim, take it away.
Thank you, Melissa, and good morning, everyone. Now that Stephanie's given you an overview and some background on the AbilityOne program, I want to give you a sense of our strategic direction and our future from the customer's perspective. I'm going to talk about how we're evolving to be more solutions oriented, to focus more on what we call knowledge-based work, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and also how we're working to provide more flexibility, more access and options for acquiring AbilityOne solutions. So if we go to my next slide, the traditional lines of business in the AbilityOne program are probably quite familiar to all of you. Many of you know our Skillcraft branded products. I've got a prop here, my favorite retractable ballpoint pen that Zoom does not want to show you. Of course, we have a wide variety of cleaning supplies, industrial products. We manufacture furniture. All of these are products that we distribute through the GSA systems. We also have a lot of services that have long been our core competencies, and those include services like janitorial, custodial services, and grounds maintenance that we have done for a long time, and particularly with our PBS colleagues. But we're working to expand the AbilityOne program's offering and to move into more total solutions. So a great example of that is how we've taken competencies in custodial work, grounds maintenance, and other maintenance types of services and package them as total facilities maintenance. Sometimes it's also called central facilities maintenance. And that reduces the burden on our contracting officers so they can consolidate a number of requirements into one contract. And it also allows the AbilityOne program to create a diversity of jobs in doing things that we've done traditionally, as well as looking at some higher skilled positions for our AbilityOne employees. Another great example of a more comprehensive solution is moving into contact centers. So these have long been called switchboards or call centers, but today there are a lot of different ways that folks can communicate, including email, chats, etc. And we have a large number of AbilityOne contact center agents that have these skills. And then we have a number of emerging capabilities. So we know that our federal requirements are moving into IT and cybersecurity types of requirements, and more administrative services. Also, another area that's emerging for AbilityOne is providing the kinds of support services that our contracting officers require. We have a robust contract closeout program, and we are looking at how we can take some of those skills and bring them to the financial and audit types of requirements as well. Carla Goulart is going to follow me, and she will talk a little bit more about some of these lines of business. But what I'd like to do next, and we can go ahead to the next chart, is I want to talk about how we are getting there and some of the ways that we're investing in the AbilityOne workforce. And these are investments that are being made by our central nonprofit agencies, National Industries for the Blind and Source America, and also by many of our nonprofit agencies. So to prepare employees in the AbilityOne program for the jobs of tomorrow, we have a lot of training and certification programs and opportunities. And these position individuals for success, to have a career path, to higher wages, and to the kind of job satisfaction that we all expect to have. So I've got a list here to highlight for you. One that I'm particularly excited about is the Cisco Academy that National Industries for the Blind has launched. It's the first Cisco Academy for people who are blind, and the folks who graduate have a certificate and a tremendous career potential in IT services. We have some apprenticeships across the AbilityOne program that are approved by the Department of Labor. A great example is a vehicle maintenance program that we have in Washington State, where our AbilityOne employees work on a wide range of Army vehicles. We have AbilityOne employees that are moving into the technical trades. And I mentioned total facilities management or total facilities maintenance. That's one of the platforms for AbilityOne employees to get into these lines of business and to do things like electrical, plumbing, all kinds of maintenance and technical services. Another area that we're expanding in the AbilityOne program is we've long had a line of business in providing food service or military dining services, but we are working to enable AbilityOne employees to achieve certifications in food service and sanitation. And these certifications can be taken wherever those employees choose to go, including to work with other non-AbilityOne employers. We have AbilityOne employees who take acquisition courses, just as federal employees do. Our employees access the Defense Acquisition University online. That leads to jobs in contract closeout and contract management. We are moving into areas that I consider technical and to have a wonderful career path, working with OSHA certifications, safety, working with quality certifications. These are positions that are often required on federal contracts, but they've not been in our traditional AbilityOne competencies. And then finally, a lot of our nonprofit agencies are providing scholarships and tuition assistance. So individuals with significant disabilities who want to pursue other career paths have that type of financial support. Next chart, please. So the last thing that I want to talk about is how we're looking at ways that the AbilityOne program can be more flexible and agile to meet our customers' needs. The standard way of doing business with the AbilityOne program for our acquisition professionals has been to identify a product or service requirement, add it to the procurement list, and that requirement stays on the procurement list as long as the government continues to need it. So that's a great way of doing business with the AbilityOne program, but we're looking at some other ways as well. So we are looking at time-limited procurement list additions. As we move into those emerging capabilities, we know that our customers may want to have the opportunity to work with the AbilityOne program for a little while, but not necessarily be locked in for the lifetime of the requirement. So we can add requirements to the procurement list for a defined period of time, for a limited duration. And when that period of time is up, the procurement list addition will either sunset or we can renew it and continue to perform those services. We're also developing IDIQ type contract vehicles, so our customers can place task orders and look at a menu of options for their AbilityOne requirements, look at pre-negotiated prices, and really speed up that process. And then finally, we're exploring partnerships. So AbilityOne nonprofit agencies are often prime contractors that will subcontract for the raw materials or types of services that we don't provide. We look at subcontracting with other AbilityOne nonprofits and then small businesses. Likewise, AbilityOne nonprofit agencies can be subcontractors. And so we are looking for partnerships with other commercial organizations, small disadvantaged businesses, service disabled, veteran-owned, et cetera. We are open to other ideas for business process flexibility. So I hope you'll keep that in mind and share your thoughts with us. And I'm going to turn the floor back now to Melissa.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kim. That's very, very interesting to hear the direction that the program is going into. And I certainly hope that our folks really, grasp that concept. So next, our next presenter is Carla Goulart. Carla is the Senior Director for AbilityOne Strategic Business Development with Source America. She has supported the AbilityOne program for over 7 years. Prior to that, Carla worked at a nonprofit supporting severely wounded veterans and has a background in marketing. Carla, over to you.
Thank
so much, Melissa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Next slide, please. And first of all, good afternoon. I have to check. I'm on the West Coast, so I need to double check my time as to where I am in relation to everyone else. So what I want to be able to share with you today is some of the capabilities within the AbilityOne program. Kim mentioned some of the traditional ones, custodial, grounds, and from the product side, I know Jim Bean likes to say mops and pens, but we are so much more than that. And to help paint that picture, I'm going to give you some examples in the different lines of business of existing AbilityOne contracts, again, to help you understand the true depth and breadth of our capabilities. But before I do that, for those of you that have an AbilityOne contract, that oversee an AbilityOne contract, I want to applaud you because you are a change agent. You have impacted the lives of 1, 2, 3, maybe 60 people. You change their lives. You make someone become excited to show up for work to every day, to make them feel like they are a part of society. You may have changed Lil's life. So when you say yes to AbilityOne, you're not just saying yes to a contractor. We are that, absolutely. And do we have to meet the requirement? Hands down. But you also do so much more than that. You change someone's life, someone that never thought that they would have the opportunity, someone who can do things that they did not think possible with the support of the nonprofits behind them. So I want to thank you for those that work within the program now. You have changed lives and you never get the opportunity to meet those individuals, which I think is sometimes hard, but I just want to recognize you for what you're already doing. So to give you some examples, we talked that we do document shredding. You may or may not know that we actually perform document destruction for the entire IRS. There's 421 locations in 46 states. And in 2019, it's estimated that we destroyed about 8 million pounds of paper. On the IT services, contact centers, and help desk, we have a contract with the USDA. It is an AbilityOne contract. Its annual value is about $1.7 million. We work across all the different mission areas and also 1.2 million agricultural producers. So we cover a vast constituent of individuals that the AbilityOne provider helps with. They do tier 1 and 2 tier help desk services. When it comes to records management, we do a lot of work in this area. We actually do the medical records processing for the US Army and Air Force. What that is that's a consolidation of the servicemen and women's medical and dental records, and it consolidates them and ships them over to the VA for when they're medically discharged. Currently, over 74 million images are scanned annually for the Air Force, and 8.5 million images are scanned annually for the Army. The Defense Health Agency yearly conducts its audits, and in both 2018 and 2019, both years were found to be at or above a 99% accuracy rate in bringing those records together. If any of you have ever seen how your doctors, maybe not so much your dentists, it seems on the doctors, how they write, you can understand how difficult it is to ensure that accurate records, and that AbilityOne nonprofit does that each and every day. I also like to share with you how we've worked with a couple other agencies as well, because again, I think that helps you understand or paints that picture of all that we have with AbilityOne. So for the Department of State, we have a fleet management contract, and this is with the Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service Foreign Affairs Agency. And what we do there is, well, first of all, if you don't know what that agency does or what they do at that site, that is the site where individuals who are being shipped off to an embassy learn defensive driving. They learn to respond to various situations, from flooded conditions to terrorist attacks. And it is an AbilityOne provider
that oversees the upkeep and ensuring that those vehicles are in tip-top condition of 250 vehicles. I find that very exciting to know that an AbilityOne provider provides that level of fleet service to the Department of State. Another fleet service example is for the Department of Energy, the National Nuclear Security Administration of Office of Transportation. An AbilityOne provider provides the fleet service on the trucks that transport nuclear assets and special nuclear materials and weapons. So that's a very secretive contract, but again, it's one of our AbilityOne nonprofit agencies that do the work. So again, that's just an example. And the last one that I will share with you is we have an AbilityOne contract with the base operations support at Naval Air Station on Whidbey Island. This is one contract of only 5 in the U.S. military installations to receive the 2018 Commander-in-Chief's Annual Award for Installation Excellence, which recognizes the outstanding and innovative efforts of the people who operate and maintain U.S. military installations. So while we are the AbilityOne program and we employ people with disabilities, it is amazing what our nonprofits can do. They must meet your requirement, absolutely, but they can do so much more. And we talk about our individuals' abilities and what they can do, not the disabilities that they have. Next slide, please. We've talked about some of these services. Kim talked about also where we were and where we're going. Our nonprofits and our constituencies are moving into the knowledge-based jobs. They're working with the technology that is already there. And again, we must move to meet the requirements of the federal government. Next slide, please. So this is a big chart. And what this shows is AbilityOne produces a phenomenal amount of products. What you see here is all the things that the GSA purchases in products, but where you don't necessarily purchase them from AbilityOne. So for example, you'll see under general industrial supplies, maintenance, repair, and operation supplies, the fast side of the house purchase boxes, crates, and cartons, but not from AbilityOne. So this is to help paint the picture of what's possible on the product side. Again, the product side is so expansive, and what you can purchase from AbilityOne can certainly increase. We just welcome a conversation to talk about that because, again, we know that it takes an understanding of your requirements, and we're going to let you know whether we can do it or not fairly quickly, but provide us with that opportunity so that we can have that dialogue. Next slide, please. And again, this is just more specific examples of how you can work with AbilityOne on the product side. And again, just to paint that picture, sometimes I know we say, well, if you have a requirement, just send it to us. That's not always as helpful as giving you examples. So we hope that these slides provide you with a better understanding of all that's possible within the products realm. Next slide, please. And again, just some more ideas of what we produce for different government customers within AbilityOne. And again, hopefully there's an opportunity for us to discuss with GSA to further our mission and create more work. Because without your requirements, the AbilityOne program does not grow. So we can have existing contracts and our numbers will stay the same. But when you say yes to AbilityOne, you absolutely change a life and you help grow the AbilityOne program. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So in this, what we wanted to be able to articulate is we believe that both the AbilityOne program can coexist with your small business goals. Sometimes we like to remind contracting and the OSDBU's office that we actually help your goals. And what we mean by that is when you put $1 into the AbilityOne program, it comes off the total baseline. So our example using simple math is if you have $10 and you put one of those dollars into the AbilityOne program, your baseline is now $9. And you would then be, if you put $5 into small business, your performance metric would be 55.5%, versus the example above that, where you didn't put any money into the AbilityOne program, the OSDBU metric would be 50%. And again, we believe that we coexist with small business. Next slide, please. Many of our nonprofits in their local communities work with small business. So this is to give you an example of how our nonprofits partner with small businesses in their local community each and every day. Kim talked about the partnership. There is a Ops Memorandum 21, and that talks about how the order that our nonprofits should subcontract. So obviously, because it's the AbilityOne program, we want them to partner with other nonprofits first. But if that doesn't work, or that service that they need is not available from another nonprofit, then the first priority after that is to work with small businesses. I give the example of an arborist on a grounds custodial contract. Our nonprofits, it probably doesn't make business sense for them to have an arborist on staff. So they're going to partner with a local arborist to do the work and subcontract. So our nonprofits do partner with local businesses all the time. Does it count towards your small business goals? No, it does not. But again, they do partner with small business, and we're always looking for new ways to grow that and to encourage that. Next slide, please. And this here slide, what it just is meant to demonstrate is that the AbilityOne program over the last few years has remained stagnant in growth. Small business has continued to increase. So we want to look for ways that we can partner and grow together. What I would say is that when you're looking at requirements for the AbilityOne program, if you look at those that are other than small business and they fit within our NAICS codes, then let's look at those first, because we know that originally you were going to set them aside for other than small business. Provide us with that opportunity to review them to see if we can do them. The other thing that Kim mentioned is we are working on, we have examples of AbilityOne subcontracting language. If you have that and include that in your solicitation, that will also count towards GSA's pledge. And we have a tracking mechanism that we're working on right now so that we would be able to feed that into the scorecard. Next slide, please. Oh. This slide, it's hard to see because some of the, I guess because of the background, some of it didn't come out. But basically, again, it just talks about how the AbilityOne program has remained stagnant, but small business continues to grow. And again, we know both are really important. Both are in the local community and both need to thrive for that local community to thrive. So again, our nonprofits, they serve the local communities. They partner with the local communities. A lot of small businesses have contracts with our nonprofits. So there is a relationship there that's already developed. We just want to be able to build on it further. Next slide, please. So this just again shows, it's kind of an example of the previous slide of where small business has grown and continues to grow, and then the dollars spent within the AbilityOne program. Again, this is total government. This is not specific to GSA. And again, it's to demonstrate that we think that we know, actually not think, that we can coexist together, and we want to continue to look for ways to do that. Next slide, please. And Melissa, it's back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carla. That was a lot of information. Thank you. Thank you. And I especially like the part about the coexistence of small businesses and AbilityOne. Okay. So our last presenter of the day is none other than James Bean, or Jim. Jim is the Business Development Manager at National Industries for the Blind, NIB. He's been in this role since 2008 and is responsible for developing new opportunities for employment with NIB and the AbilityOne program within federal civilian agencies. Prior to joining NIB, Jim worked with Corporate Express Office Supply Company as a government account manager. He is a native of Erie, Pennsylvania. He holds a degree in biology from Mercyhurst University and currently resides in Manhattan, Virginia. Over to you, Jim.
Thanks, Melissa, and appreciate everyone staying around and your attention. I always joke, we wrap up the day with a little Jim Beam, right? So here we are as we get some information. So the goal here, I know over the past hour, you've learned a lot about the AbilityOne program, who we are, what we do. I want to wrap things up with this FAR clause, 52.208-9, and the different ways you can get our products. Now, this is a great clause because it allows you to really make an impact very quickly, either on existing contracts or set the stage for future contracts as well. So we're going to do more information on this clause, and we'll go to the next slide. Now, I'll read this slide because not everyone may be familiar with it, but the FAR clause states this. It says certain supplies or services to be provided under this contract for use by the government are required by law to be obtained by nonprofit agencies associated with the AbilityOne program. So what that means is if you have a contract for janitorial or housekeeping, things like that, you can put this FAR clause in there and specify that products being utilized have to come from the AbilityOne program. That's really the essence of FAR clause 52.208-9. Now I'd like to give you a couple examples to really help you personalize it and kind of give you some examples of where you can really implement it in your day-to-day work on contracts. Next slide. Now, where can you place this FAR clause? Many places. You can put it right in the solicitation. If the solicitation has already been released, you can go back and make an amendment to the solicitation. Some contracting officers, they'll put it right in the performance work statement or even the statement of work to provide that visibility, transparency, and let the bidders prepare as they look to secure AbilityOne products. So a few different ways that you can implement the FAR clause. Next slide. Now, how the FAR clause relates to the procurement list that we talked about previously, it says this: when the FAR clause is included, federal contractors are required to purchase AbilityOne items from the AbilityOne procurement list as specified by the contracting office. Now, as we talked about, the procurement list, it contains a wide variety of different products. And below, you see a couple of those different categories to give you an example of how this FAR clause can be implemented. There's cleaning and janitorial supplies, food operating supplies, kitchen supplies, safety room supplies, waste management. So various categories where this clause can be very applicable and help you out to meet your goals and support the AbilityOne program as well. Next slide. Now, here is an example how you can include this FAR clause in the solicitation. Very clearly, what you can do is you can include an Excel spreadsheet with the NSNs, the part numbers, the products themselves, very specifically line them out so there's no confusion. And that list can be as short or as long as you want. And now really provides a clarity to the bidders that, hey, here's what we're procuring, here's what we recommended, here's what's mandatory on this contract. So that's one way you can do it, by including the FAR clause and the items listed in the solicitation. Here's an example that we provided in the recent contract that was at a military base. They specified that and said Mountain Home Air Force Base has a base supply store on the property. So what it said is that, hey, when you need these supplies, you can go to the base supply center to procure those supplies as dictated in the procurement list Excel spreadsheet. So that's just one example, and you can get very detailed or high level as you want. At least you're supporting the program and giving some credibility that, hey, here's what we're mandating through the FAR clause. So just a quick example. And that's what it's all about. We really want to get the wheels turning, because I know as a whole, the FAR can be very intimidating and it's easy for the AbilityOne program to get lost in there. But hopefully this will be helpful for some future examples for you to implement. Next slide. One way, as we mentioned, is you can include this clause as an amendment, as you may do other amendments. So it's very simple to provide this as a reference note. I know many times we see these amendments on sam.gov and other sites and platforms, so no different as well. You can include 52.208-9 as an amendment, making industry aware that, hey, there's been a change. We're implementing the AbilityOne program for various products or services on the procurement list. So this is another way to really include that. Next slide. Now, here's an example how the clause can be included in a performance work statement. You might include section 1.5.2, contracted furnished restroom supplies. Now, in this example, they provide the different categories and they break down what's expected. So you see, they may list trash can liners, toilet tissue, paper towels, hand soap. So what that means is if any of these products or categories have to be purchased under this contract, they're mandatory to come through an AbilityOne solution, if you will. So that's a good example that two different ways. One way is to include in a sense or an Excel spreadsheet listing the item specifically. Another one is like this, provide a category listing what should be provided by the AbilityOne program. So just some examples, food for thought as well. Next slide. Now, with our program, we really don't care where you get the products. All the NSNs are universal. So there's various purchasing options, distribution channels you can get the AbilityOne products from. You can call customer service number at the 1877 number you see here, or you can order them online from the different channels you see, from AbilityOne.com, GSA Advantage, GSA Global Supply, FedMall. And in addition, we have over 150 base supply centers around the country and military bases. And we also have base supply stores at several federal civilian government agencies as well. So those are ways you can purchase the products. But then also, if you want to support small business or women-owned businesses, things like that, you can still do that on AbilityOne.gov. There's over 300 authorized distributors that provide our products. So you can go and specify a certain company you're looking to support. That's another channel as well you can implement. So this is just a few examples of the various distribution channels to procure AbilityOne products. And hopefully a lot of information thrown at you today. So hopefully you'll digest it, come back with questions after you see some live examples to really implement it in your day-to-day work. But we're here. Our whole goal was to really put a face with the program, really personalize it so that as requirements come across your desk, either existing or maybe things are being forecasted, you feel comfortable reaching out to look for the AbilityOne program as a potential solution. And next slide. And that's it for me. Definitely want to keep us on track, but hopefully you got something out of that that you can really utilize moving forward. So I will turn it over back to Melissa and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. We really appreciate that. This is where we had allowed a few minutes for Q&A. So let's see. We thank you. You gave us some time back. So take a few minutes. Team, are there any questions in the box, in the Q&A box?
Hi, Melissa. One question was just how they can get a link to the presentation.
Okay. So we can provide that link to the list of folks who attended today. We can also provide it through other means. So yes, we will give this the slides. We will hand out the slides after the session. Is that the only question? I thought I saw one earlier about products or services. Someone asked the question, are these products manufactured or are they resold? So I'm going to ask Kim, the products that the MPAs provide, these are direct manufactured, correct?
For the most part, they are directly manufactured. This is Kim, everyone. We actually make paper notepads from giant reams of paper. So there are many that we make from scratch, so to speak. Oftentimes we will assemble components. So we do some plastic injection molding for things like pens. Other times our nonprofit agencies purchase and assemble the components. Generally speaking, we want to see some value added to each product, some type of transformation.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So again, guys, if you come up with any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We will answer them and get back with you. So as we near the end of our session, I'd like to ask Jeff to come back and provide us with a wrap up and some final thoughts. Jeff.
Melissa, Carla, and Jim, Andrew, Amanda, Kim, Stephanie, thank you all so much for a great session. I particularly appreciated Lil's personal impact story, a story of service, struggle, and triumph. I did note the concerns in the Q&A box on captioning. Please note you have been heard. Today, we learned a lot about new offerings and about modernization. We know from our own acquisition results last year that GSA can support small business and AbilityOne at the same time, that our workforce exceeded the AbilityOne pledge and our small business goals. Carla, thank you for your examples. I think GSA is case in point that yes, we can do both of these things. As an agency, we have many opportunities to further support the program, such as by working with your ABORs to identify potential new opportunities, to consider AbilityOne in strategic plan for requirements. But as we heard today, particularly from Jim, consider AbilityOne in subcontracting opportunities. Just you're taking the time today to attend the AbilityOne training session. That's a clear mark of support of the program, and it gives you the chance to spread the word by talking to your friends and your colleagues in other agencies. We want to know what you liked and didn't like about today's session, so please do respond to the post-training survey. And Melissa, back to you to close us out.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, this has been a great session. Couple of things that I want to leave you with. Please familiarize yourself with the AbilityOne procurement list. Consider AbilityOne when you're developing your acquisition strategy, as Jeff just mentioned, and the ABOR team is there to assist you. You can reach us at this email address, or you can contact us directly at our identified emails. You can also visit the AbilityOne Insight page for more resources. Let's see. Please don't forget to take the post-training survey, as Jeff mentioned. This will enable you to receive your CLP credits. The survey will appear in your window shortly. You will also receive an email tomorrow reminding you to take the survey if you're unable to take it today. I would also like to thank everyone who gave their time to make this session a reality, our presenters, our speakers, and especially our attendees. It is my sincere hope that you will leave here today with a deeper understanding of the importance and the far-reaching impact of the AbilityOne program, as well as a strong commitment to promoting equality and access to opportunities for people with disabilities. This session was recorded and will be posted for later viewing. We will inform you of the location within the next week or so. Again, thank you for joining us. Be safe. Have a great day on purpose. Thank you, everyone.